Hi, everyone, and welcome to Book Club with Bay. I am Bay, and this is Bay. Say hi, Bay.
Hi, Bay.
And today we are talking about Shift, the fifth book in the Shifter series by Rochelle Vincent, because there are no Rachels in the world. And this is the fifth book, so there's one more book after this.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the situation.
It's the second last book.
Yeah.
Yes. So, ratings?
I'll let you go first. Because you know what happened? I started reading the Dysisters, and I like
I did say that you started reading.
And you get like new perspectives on things when you start reading Dysisters. Okay, so like I don't.
Yeah, no. Every other book looks like a fucking literary masterpiece.
So
when compared to
right, so I'm like, gold, you know.
You know, there's like $100,000 hamburgers. It's that.
Yeah, right. I'm like, like if you were in the desert and like water, it's like that. Yeah, that's.
I think with this one, I would probably go like. I'm just trying to think of probably the chili that we made the other night. It was pretty yum. It could have used some work, but it was pretty yum.
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess I have all the usual complaints that I've had, but
yeah, well, it's Faith.
Like, it's Faith, but there's nothing egregiously wrong again with like the writing or with, other than the things that are egregiously wrong with it. As far as plot and all that goes, there's nothing horridly offensive about it. It just like needs some salt.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I found, and I think because he had a legitimate reason to be a fucking raging psychopath this book.
Yeah.
I didn't find Mark as bad this book. Mark's not as bad in this book or the next one.
That's true. So okay, so I'm gonna go with like chips and salsa because I really like chips and salsa, but like when the chips are just way too salty. So like you can brush the salt off, so it's probably fine, but like you wish you didn't have to brush the salt off, okay? It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because for those of you that remember from last book, Faith fucked Jace. And Mark finds out this book.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't hate Mark as much this book, because it fair. Anything dicky he does towards Faith is kind of fair.
Well, because he's like captured in need of rescue, and then she just fucks another guy.
Yeah.
Like, fair play being mad about that.
Yeah, and this is set, I think, a week or two after the last book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting some shorter time jumps between books now, because like we've had like multiple months in previous books, and then the next book is also pretty close after this one. Because next book is obviously the finale that the entire series has been building up to. So yeah, everything happens in relatively quick succession now. But not House of Night quick. We still have breathing space, and it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. If they say that they did something the other week, you believe it. So we're still at that level. It's fine. But I forgot where I was going. But yeah, this book is like about a week or two. I can't remember exactly. set after the last book. So Faith still has a broken hand from the Free Mark fight.
Right.
And she's salty because she can't shift yet. But I guess also in the meantime, they've forgotten that the council voted to remove Casey. Like, not like, because like the temporary head of the council is at the house at the beginning of this book. And he's not just like, I ought to be taking this young child with me. So I guess the council's just forgotten.
Yeah.
But things actually kick off a lot quicker than you expect in this book, eh?
Yeah.
Like the main plot starts, like there's one scene before the main plot starts, which in a lot of books it's usually like, you know, the main plot really kicks off in like third chapter or something.
And honestly, in these books, it usually takes a little longer for that, if I'm not mistaken, for the main plot to like.
Yeah, well, in the one where they find Casey, for example, the whole issue with like all the other strays, I think that's like chapter 5 or 6 or something like that pops up.
Yeah, like these books kind of take their sweet ass time, like getting you to the actual plot, which is a little annoying because you're kind of sitting there like, can we do something, please?
Yeah, I mean, the scenes prior to it, like each individual book plot kicking off, the scenes aren't useless. Like, they're relevant. There's character stuff. There's like the subplots happening, you know. But each book has its own arc. You know, there's an adventure that we have to go on specifically for each book.
Right.
And you're just like, I want to get to the book's adventure now, please.
Yeah. Yeah. And it like doesn't, yeah. And so this one starts earlier, which is actually kind of nice because you're like, oh, here it is.
Well, when it happened, I wasn't expecting it to, because like I've read these books before and I knew what the plot of this book was.
Right.
But then when it started, I was like, oh, we're there already. I wasn't expecting it yet.
I wasn't expecting it to be that fast either because, like I said, I kind of like that we're doing 2 a week right now because it's letting us read things in quicker succession, which I think
so we're not having like a fortnight between books.
Which I think is letting us compare the books to each other a little bit better. So yeah, it's pretty stark, like the difference between how long it took us to get to the main plot of the book between, you know, like the last books and this book. And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Like Mark didn't get kidnapped until I think like chapter 7 last book or something. I could be way off with my chapters, but it was a decent chunk of the book.
Oh, it was late. It was late. It was like, we're doing all this stuff, and then it was like, oh,
that's right. It's time to get to the part of the program where Mark's kidnapped, I guess.
I think Mark's been kidnapped. And it's like, oh, we're like halfway through the book. It was like that.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, and again, there was stuff happening prior to that. There was the issue, like, there was the other half of the stray population issue thing happening there, and you know, there's feed-ins to the main plot, but the main plot of the book is Mark's been kidnapped. We have to find Mark.
Right.
And yeah, that didn't happen until a good few chapters in, whereas I'm pretty sure it's chapter 1 this book.
Which
at most chapter 2.
Which honestly feels a little more polished for me.
Oh,
maybe.
I mean, we expect people to get, I don't know what order, like, because she's got other series as well. I don't know what order all of the series have been written in. Like, I don't know if this was her 5th book ever or her 5th.
What else has she written?
She's written the Bound series. That's another adult series. There's one Soul Screamers. That's a young adult series. That's about banshees, but they're called Beyond Shees. There's the Wildcat series, which is the spin-off to this.
So these aren't
got
her.
another one.
Oh, so Stray was her first book. This was her first
Pretty good
series.
for a first book.
But she was writing Soul Screamers as she was writing this. So these are like her first-ish books.
Well, this would be her first adult series because Soul Screamers is young adult. They're in high school.
But she was writing these concurrently. So she would have, so like the first Soul Screamers books and Prey came out the same year.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, so like they're getting better. And I would be interested to see, sorry guys, at some point if the books get better, as time goes on. Because the writing's not bad. It's just that Faith is insufferable.
Well, I think there was a decent could be way off though. I think there was a decent chunk of time between her doing this series and the Wildcat series.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
It was about 4 years.
But again, though, from reading the blurbs, the Wildcat series read more like romance. I think they're more in the romance genre than adult.
Right.
And so I will give this to her as well. She does branch out across the genres a bit. Like there's always some sort of fantasy twist to it. Like this one, obviously Shifters. Soul Screamers is Banshees. Oath, like the Bound series is more like a kind of like fae-ish from memory. Like there's people with particular powers, but they're more in like the realm of fae magic powers,
right,
and stuff like that. And I've only read the first book of that series, and that was like a decade ago or something. So I can't really remember anything about that other than the fact that there's a contract. There's something to do with a contract in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she spreads out across the genre. She's got like adult Bloodbound. Oh, like because I read the first book in the Bound series is Bloodbound, and that was also a bit more like a detective noir, like writing style. And then young adult and romance. So she's each series is distinct in its own way, I feel. Just dying for a minute there. Did it go down the wrong pipe? Oh no. We are currently talking about Shift, which is the 5th book in the Shifters series by Rachel/Rochelle Vincent. Her actual name is Rachel, but we call her Rochelle.
We call her Rochelle because TJ can't get it right.
Do you also see, I mentioned the last Shifter stream that there was going to be a particular voice by the narrator in this book that I think I just said it was interesting.
I don't.
The birds.
The what?
The birds' voices.
Yes. Because you know what else it is? It was that, and then like you said, I started listening to Die Sisters.
Yep. I haven't started yet. I didn't want to taint.
Oh God. And then Die Sisters, the narrator for that. So, what did you? Yeah. What do you know her from?
She also does the Divergent.
There's another book. I forget which book series
She's done it.
Wait. She's done a million book series, but there's a book series that I know her from, and I heard her voice, and I was immediately like, I've listened to this bitch before, and I hate her so much.
Honestly, I feel like her voice wouldn't be anywhere near as bad if, like I said, she sounds like a sigh. Everything she says sounds like a sigh. different tone size depending on the tone of the sentence.
Yeah.
But everything just sounds like I don't know. That's the
And
only way I
only
can think of to describe it.
Like, I don't demand that narrators do like dramatic voice changes because sometimes it doesn't fit like your narration style, and that's okay. But can you do
liking doesn't go too extreme.
But can you do something to indicate that a different character is speaking? Something. Maybe voice acting isn't for you. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to be a meanie butt. I don't like it. It's not my thing. And yes, we are kind of matching. Thank you, Check. Hello. Hello, everybody. And I don't want to be a meanie butt. I don't like it. But maybe if you can't change your voice just a little bit, especially if it's like another female talking, to indicate that it's another female talking, maybe voice acting is not your thing. I don't know. It's just a thought. All right, this is not the Disaster stream. I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
But do you want me to hear what else she's done? Okay, so play it.
Oh, sorry.
I said, do you want to hear what else she's done? So you can try to remember what books like where you recognize it.
We'll play it. We'll play it on Wednesday.
Do you want me to play her voice?
Yes.
I can. Okay, give me a second. Actually, I don't think I have Digesters on my phone yet. Do you have it on your phone?
I do.
You play it. While you find it, she's done, Divergent. She's done, that series we were talking about the other day, Shiver.
As if mocking them, sunlight caressed Cora's fuliginous cheeks, seeming to brighten as her breathing became more labored, and the
fuliginous. A couple of my notes have I'm taking detailed notes. My notes are way too long for this. So tune in Wednesday for the combined birthday stream because it's going to be a time. Yes.
The Short Second Life of Brie Tanner is where you know her from.
The what?
The Twilight novella, Short Second Life of Brie Tanner.
No, I haven't listened to that. I know I looked it up and I know what it is. I looked it up on Audible. It's like a vampire series that I listened to because it was something
like 100 books.
I know it looked kind of good, and Halter Graham was on it, and so I was like, maybe because Halter Graham seemed like it would lead me astray, and you know what it did? It was horrible. It was a terrible book.
Graham, you let us down.
I know he let me down, and
we trusted you.
I know I trusted him. I should have known that like a book with 4 narrators was a bad idea, but I was curious, so I listened to it. And so, but in some of my notes are the casts and the big words that they're trying to use to sound fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Like what word did they just use? Hold on.
The sun reappeared briefly, stretching its long golden fingers through puffy white clouds, as if mocking them. Sunlight caressed Cora's fuliginous cheeks, seeming
fuliginous.
Okay.
Fuliginous cheeks.
Like I feel like I know a lot of words, right? You know, not to brag, but I know a lot of words. Okay. But I have no idea what the fuck fuliginous means, so I just looked it up.
I don't know what it means either.
Sooty, dusky.
You know what?
The root word is filigo or filigio, the Latin word for soot. So her sooty cheeks.
We'll have to talk about this more on Wednesday, but I'm going to say this now. What also is weird about the way that they're using that is that it doesn't match the rest of the writing style.
So that was Kristen.
Because it's just like their normal shitty writing style with random giant words in the middle from like freaking Kyle's big word of the day calendar.
I didn't think we would have to do this, but I'm just going to say, just from this brief part of the conversation, because I haven't started listening to the book at all yet, right? But it feels like Damien was a good outlet for them being like, hey, look, we know big words. And they don't have a Damien now, so they just have to throw them in and hope for the best.
Yeah, I know, right? But with
if
Damien though, like they would be like, Damien, what's your big word of the day? And he'd be like, fucking chipmunk, bitch. And
But like, also, like, writing advice from book club with Bay, and I'm sure we're going to give this advice again on Wednesday.
yeah,
I'm sure.
for sure.
But if you are going to use adjectives like fuliginous cheeks, right? Make sure your audience knows the freaking word. Don't just be like, what's another word for sooty? Oh, fuliginous. That'll do. No. You know what would have worked better there? Soot-covered cheeks. I don't know the context. I don't even know if she has soot on her cheeks. But if you
She doesn't, by the way.
I'm done. Let's go back to shift, please. Can we go back? This needs to be saved for Wednesday when Addie is here to help. Okay, we need Addie to help us. Because I can't be throwing scissors around angry. I'm deciding in a shift book. Okay, I can't do it. No more. So shift. Also, yeah, it's confusing because the series is shifters and this book is shift. So either will do.
This should have been the first book in the series. I'm sorry. If you were gonna do a title like this.
I know. I know why they did it though, because they like it. Okay, so when we met Elias or Elias Keller, whatever, however you want to say his first name, like I've never heard it pronounced Elias, and I can't deal with it. He was just like a minor character, whereas this book we get Thunderbirds, and they're a focal point. So I guess that's where the shift comes from, because it's in the Shifter series. But yeah, wait a second. Sorry. Welcome to Book Club with Bay, where we're completely professional.
We're not.
Okay. Whew. Bring it back in. Okay, I'm good. I think. Unless there's about to be more. No
There's
more.
not.
Okay, good.
What was that? I just screenshot him that and said you've been condemned. That was it.
He has been thoroughly dogged on. You need to talk for a minute, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait.
I was trying to.
Where were we?
We have. Okay. We're just talking about the freaking title now. Yeah. So I know why it's called Shift, because it's like, I guess it's better than Giant Bird. You know.
Bird.
Like avian. I don't know. Like.
Yeah, it needs
Shift.
to be like
I guess it works.
it needs to be a one syllable.
No.
Verb.
The last book is 2 syllables. Last book is Alpha.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she ruined it.
Bird.
but I can't bird.
Yeah, shift makes sense, but
But yeah, so I guess we should actually just talk about the plot now because
do we need to
we've
go over characters or just get to it?
honestly, we'll get to the new. I mean, like then. Okay, wait. We'll just do one quick reminder of one character, Brett Malone. In the third book, where they find Casey, that he is the werecat that was guarding Faith when they were like going on a cat hunt, and he's the one that took the trash out and got like partially eviscerated, and she saved his life. And he is Jace's oldest half sibling.
Yeah.
But yeah, also before I forget about it, this is, I said last book as well. We'll get more on Jace's backstory this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heavily implied at a point in this book that Calvin Malone killed Jace's father.
Yes.
It's never outright stated in the series because no one except for Calvin knows, but it's heavily implied. And it's like, well, it's Calvin Malone, so draw your own conclusions, and they're probably correct. So, but okay, so the book starts off with so it's Daddy, Uncle Rick. Oh, this is something I wanted to bring up. Okay, sorry. It's actually a tangent related to the series and an issue that I'm having with it. It's a giant plot hole, I feel.
Okay.
So we've established that werecats, right? That there's like 4 to 7 boys before you get a girl in every family, right?
Yes.
There is no mention of any other uncles in this series. There's just Uncle Rick. None of her mother's other brothers are mentioned. None of her father's brothers are mentioned. Her father's sister isn't mentioned. Like, one of the other council members would be his brother-in-law.
Would have to be.
Unless he came from Canada or something.
He would she would have to have a massive family.
She should have at least 10 uncles. And we have 1. And she'd have an aunt. Her dad would have a sister whose husband is Alpha and is on the council.
When you think about it, like, that would lead to a very insular situation if, like, every time somebody got married, they had kids until they had a girl. Then, like, after 2 generations, everybody's related.
Headphone issues again.
Like, then every tabby is related to every single alpha somehow.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of the issues within the series, other than the racial one, like, and we're just talking like world building issues, not characters themselves. I think it would make a lot more sense if there was like the council, right? And there was maybe like, even if the territories were still as they were, like each council is like the congressman of each territory, right? But then within each territory there was smaller sub-territories.
Yeah.
And because again, like, seeing there's going to be an inbreeding issue for starters.
Yeah.
But also, it would explain why there's not any mention of the other uncles or whatever, and the aunt, because they're not on the council, because they're lesser alphas or whatever.
And not only that, but like, there's not enough cats to account for the number of kids you have to get a tabby.
And well, so Faith's territory has like 6 enforcers or whatever, but there's about 30 to 40 toms in the territory.
That's not enough, though. If you assume that her mom and her, huh?
Even accounting for the multi-generational stuff, I think that's actually more Toms than would be accounted for. Because if each territory, say, has 40 cats across 3 generations, that would be about 15 to 20 Toms per territory if they're evenly spread.
Well, what about all the rest of them?
No, I'm saying, like, okay, so say that there's 3 adult generations at any given point. So, like, there's, like, you know, the just adult generation, there is the middle-aged generation, there's the old generation, like the elderly generation. Average of 4 to 7 Toms, we'll say 6. That's only 18 Toms.
Yeah, but if you assume, but like, but then they're all related.
Yeah.
But then what?
Unless
Like,
from
but she's not related to everybody in her pride.
Not the way it's written, but the way the world is built, she is.
Right. So then if you also, because then it's like, well, then who's the mom of the rest of these motherfuckers? Like, that's the other problem with it.
Yeah, and also, like, Faith has 4 grandparents, and I don't know about you, right? But when your parents are in their 50s, and it's expected that, you know, at least the mum starts breeding in her early 20s, like she starts popping out kids in her early 20s. There's, you know, generally at most a 20, 22 year age gap between the mother and the oldest child. So when Faith's dad, because Faith is 23, her dad's 56. So he was 23 when she was born, which also that doesn't make sense because she's like the 5th kid and there's like a 2-year age gap between her and her brother. But it's distinctly mentioned that he's like in his late 50s, like mid to late 50s.
Yeah.
He's 57 actually. So leaving that aside, because otherwise.
So her dad started having kids when he was 12.
Yep. But that would mean though then her grandparents on each side would be at most 70.
Yeah. Where are they?
Where are they? Like, I mean, like, yeah, maybe the guys, like her grandfathers, both did it dead, but at least one of her grandmothers would be alive.
Especially if they're as protected as they're supposed to be.
Yes. So, like, there are a lot of, well, like, and I guess it shows that it's her first series type thing. Because a lot of mistakes often get made, not always, often get made in first series. And that's an advantage if you're going to write books or whatever. Like, you look at the books in a similar genre or whatever that you want to write, and you go, well, that's a plot hole. I'm not going to have that in my book. And you avoid it. But it doesn't look like Grayson Vincent did that.
Well, and like we just said, I mean, assuming that everybody's related, yeah, the numbers make sense. But when you consider that she's related to her couple of brothers and then nobody else, it's like, well, then where the fuck is everybody that she's related to? And then where are all the other people that all of those people are related to? And then it's like, and then also, where are all the tabbies that are producing all the people that she's not related to?
Yeah, and one of the things that I was thinking about as well is, like, okay, from the sounds of it, a lot of tabbies start popping out kids at 18, 19. That seems to be the age when a lot of tabbies just start doing it, you know, because, you know, it's their job. And I'm like, well, why is there not something like, you know, don't force, you know, females to have more than one daughter, right? But there should be a way to, but the council should have something in place to incentivize tabbies to try for a second daughter, which would mean that, yeah, they might end up with about 14 kids or something, but there's also like dozens or there's hundreds of families that have upwards of 14 to 20 kids. And in a society like this, like all of the men in this world, they see babies and they're like, baby, and like they help babysit, So like
right.
it'll boost the numbers. It'll give you like the DeCarlos wouldn't be in the situation they were in if they'd had another daughter. She's dead now, so like they're just like, well, fuck, what do we do? Like when tabbies are so important, it kind of feels a little bit silly to leave all of like the next generation's eggs in one basket. Like they should be trying. It should encourage them to try and have 2 daughters.
Right.
But also another thing, they have Dr. Carver and a geneticist in a different territory doing all of this freaking genetic research, right, to try and solve the issue of why there's so few tabbies. And it doesn't seem like it occurred to them once to go, maybe we should try gender selection, IVF. Done. And and further from that as well, just like the woman doesn't like the tabbies, like, I don't really want to carry, like, they need to boost the next generation, like, let's get the numbers up for a couple generations and then we can just let nature take its course again. We've already established as well that humans can carry werecat babies. Look at Casey. Her parents were human, she's a werecat. Hire surrogates. Like if you want to help boost numbers and like after this is what they should be doing, because a good chunk of the population gets killed in the next book, which not really a spoiler because we know, like, it's been like said for books now, war is coming.
Right.
So war happens next book. A bunch of people die. They need to boost the numbers. They need to be getting surrogates to carry all the cat babies. I feel like there are a lot of issues that Rachel has created that there are simple solutions for, and she hasn't even addressed them. Like if they had even said,
or
IVF, it doesn't
a bunch of women.
Yeah, well, that it's also quite clear that females do have the recessive gene. Why don't they, like blood tests, do blood tests on people, right? Like for example, Michael's wife, Holly, for example, be like, oh, let's test her blood. If she's got the recessive gene, then they can make this, like they can do a vote thing to be like, does she be told, and then to be offered to do a scratch. Like they can do this type of thing. But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I guess we should actually talk about the plot now.
Yeah.
So they're in a meeting and it's Daddy, Uncle Rick. I can't remember Mr. DeCarlo's first name. And the other ally. I can't remember their names, so I don't care. Daddy and his allies are in a meeting, and Paul Blackwell's rocked up, and he's like, please don't go to war. This isn't good. Karen, talk some sense into your husband. And she's like, I absolutely dare you. My son's dead. And he's just like, and then she tells off Paul Blackwell, storms out, and they're like, ah! And then, so Faith decides to take, and Casey's trying to eavesdrop, so Faith takes her outside. She bumps into Owen and Manx, and they're getting all snuggly outside on the porch. And she's like, oh, well, that's nice. And then Casey's like, I'm going to go and say hi to Ethan's grave. And so she walks across the yard, and then she gets snatched by a thunderbird.
Yep.
Now, no one has seen the thunderbird in, like, ever. So they were like, what the fuck? And so Faith like starts chasing after this giant freaking bird, carrying Casey. Casey's freaking the fuck out. Owen does a shift and catches up because, you know, he's a cat, so he can run really fast. And then he does a pounce, and he's like, and does a thing, and then, because they're trying to get to a car yeets. Faith grabs Casey. Thunderbird that took Casey is knocked out, so they're like, well, fuck. So then Mark and Jace come, and they're like, bird. So then they like tie him up and like take him back to the house and chuck him in the cage in the basement. And everyone's like, WTF, what the fuck was that? Why are they taking Casey? There's just a lot of that conversation happening. And they're like, someone's missing. We haven't seen them all day. So they're like, well, fuck. So it's time to go on a cat hunt. And so they all like split off, and then Faith finds a completely mutilated body, and she's like, well, fuck, he's dead. And it's one of the other Alpha sons. So then they work out that he would have seen the birds coming, and like the dickhead he is, he's like, I was in the woods and now I'm going to go out into a fucking paddock to make my phone call. So while he was trying to make his phone call and running back to the house to warn them that giant birds were coming, he got killed. Advice for a book club with Bay. Survival advice. The giant fucking birds chasing you, stay in the trees.
Yep.
Like if they've got like a 8-foot wingspan, stay in the trees. They can't fly in there. Done.
Stay where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
Like
if you need to make a life and death phone call, do it while sheltered. Don't do it in an open field. Because bird will kill you and mutilate you.
thank goodness sneezing is not a symptom.
I know, right?
I've been doing so much sneezing.
But so many people. Okay, another thing. Owner advice from Book Club with Bay. Don't give people sneezing from allergies rude looks when they sneeze, because, you know, it's not a symptom. Allergies are not contagious. It's fine.
And it's allergy season, okay? Thank you for the bless you.
So then, yeah, they're like, well, let's go talk to the bird. And they're like, hello, bird. And he's like, ah! And he's, the bird voice. Should I try and find a bird voice?
Yeah, because it was interesting. And this narrator, while she sounds like an old smoky lady, while she's not bad per se.
Birds glanced back, a left arm around Casey.
Right.
Of all, I just gave you the reason for his own personal gain. There was an odd silence as the birds glanced back and forth at one another in quick, sharp movements, clearly conveying silently through expressions I couldn't interpret.
Come on.
I glanced down at Casey. I looked up to see the birds all watching me, and the next voice came from behind me, so I turned again. We will hear you speak on this matter.
Oh, it doesn't sound as bad when you're not listening to it at like plus speed. I'm gonna speed it up
right.
I was expecting it to be like worse, because also when you listen to things at like double speed or even 1.5 speed, it raises the pitch a bit, you know.
Came from behind me, so I turned again. We will hear you speak on this matter.
No, that's just a bad
thing. Instantaneously, miraculously. I briefly considered explaining that the birds would have told me if I were. Malone is running against my father for a position of leadership within our territorial council. And Malone doesn't look faster as my pulse raced. I was desperate to finish before someone cut me off. I'm not saying your bird was necessarily the one trying to kill me. I told myself, I think there's something familiar. Everyone gets an eat, and Malone wants us both married off.
This is like a bird-heavy scene, and I'm struggling to find a bird voice.
Thus, under his thumbs. He tried to force me into a word I didn't want. I didn't know enough about our culture to understand why Malone would resist the urge to turn and search for the speaker yet again. Asked from behind me and to my right bone. How is your fight justified? An exceptionally scratchy, gender-neutral voice asked behind me.
There's high-pitched ones. I just can't find one of the high-pitched ones. There's some that are like, eh. But anyway, so yeah, the bird's like, you killed one of our, what did you think about like the dick? Like, because also it's it's a fantasy, so it's an obligatory dick joke now.
Yep.
I think this is one of the better urban fantasy dick joke setups, though.
They always annoy me though. Like I don't like
I'm not
them.
saying it's good. I'm just saying it's one of the better ones. It's
Yeah,
not a giant.
but I don't. But I think it's dumb.
Yeah. So like male thunderbirds, we establish are called cocks. You know, like poultry. You know, like
Yeah.
roosters. It's a thing. And every time they mention cock in this book, which I think is about like 4 times or 5 times or something, Faith has to stifle a giggle or refrain from making a dick joke. And she's right. Like, I mean, if I was in that situation, I'd be like, my mind would like immediately go to juvenile dick jokes. Sure. You know, I'll concede that. But just once, I'd like to read the adult urban fantasy without like series without a single obligatory dick joke, because they're in every one of them. Even Mercy isn't immune. She had
I know,
a Christmas.
right? Trollbridge.
Yep. Yep. He was a big green troll with a bright red dick, and he looked like a Christmas tree, apparently.
Yep.
I don't know. But yeah, so he's like, you killed one of our cocks, and Faith is like, what do you mean we killed one of your cocks? And he's like, he was doing the thing, and then he was having food, and then one of your cats killed him, and trusted source told us. And they're like, what? Then why? 1, we didn't, and 2, why did you try and take Casey? He's like, because we promised on our honor to remove the females before the attack, like before the final melee. And, you know, because they're really good at math, like Faith and Mark and Jace, like add 2 and 2 together and get Calvin Malone. Because, duh, like who else would it be?
Right.
And then they hear screaming from upstairs, so then they yeet back upstairs, and there is another male cat, like human form. Like there's a guy lying crumpled on the ground and like, what the fuck? And yeah, so the bird picked him. He went outside for a smoke and didn't stay on the porch because I guess logic isn't a thing in this book. And he got picked up by a bird, and then picked up by 2 birds flying like 40 feet in the air or something, and then dropped. So like, he ain't good. He ain't good.
Yeah.
So they call the doctor, and they're like, "What the fuck do? We can't leave him out here." And he's like, "Okay, we'll get him inside then, I guess." Oh, also Owen's hurt at this. Like Owen got hurt in the fight with the Thunderbird. So like, he's in one of the beds. They take him into another bed, and they're like, "Well, fuck, Dr. Carver's got a lot of shit to do when he gets here." And Casey's like, "I want to know what's going on. That could have been me." And Faith's like, "Look, calm down, and we'll talk about this outside of, you know, Charlie's earshot." And she's like, "No, I want answers now." And it's like, stop being a petulant child, Casey. It's not all about you. Like, I get that she wants to know what the fuck's going on, you know, because they took her. But also, like, do you have to do this by his bedside? By the dying man's bedside? It ain't a good time or place, Casey. Calm down. And then so Daddy's like, "I'm going to go talk to this bird." So then Daddy goes down. And he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then the power goes out, and he's like, "They've cut your power because of blah. It'll make it easier to attack you." And Daddy's like, "Well, that's not good. That ain't good at all." And yeah, effectively, they're trying to find a way around the bird's word, because the birds don't have an alpha. Like, they're like, you know, whatever promises made by one bird is honored by the flight. They make group decisions. They're very big on groupthink in general. And they don't go back on their word unless proven to have been misled or something. I guess. Yeah, they've got
kind of a weird way to do things, but okay, go off, I guess.
Yeah. And they're like, well, that ain't good. And then Faith is like, you know what we need? The gun that Manx shot Jace with in the second book. So she goes into the office and gets a thing. Oh, also Blackwell at this stage as well is like, because all the authors are like, we can also do math, and obviously Calvin is the answer. And Blackwell's like, you can't just accuse him, Greg. Now, Greg, you can't just accuse him. And they're like, well, we're not accusing him, we're suspecting him strongly. There's a difference. And he's like, well, I shall launch an investigation. So he goes off to make some calls. And then Michael's wife, Holly, the honest to goodness runway model, calls and she's like, why are you at the ranch again? He's like, Owen fell off the tractor, I guess. And she's like, I don't fucking understand. This is weird, Michael. I just want to come. I'm going to come over there and help. And he's like, no, you can't come to the ranch. And I'm just like, that poor woman. Like, she's not home often. And every time she's home lately, Michael gets called to the ranch and she's not allowed to come. And yeah, their relationship ain't looking too good right now. So, but yeah, Faith gets the gun. And Daddy's like, I did target practice in school. Also, this becomes a more important plot point next book, but cats don't like guns because, one, they have an innate fear of being shot because, I guess, cat. And two, they think it's cheating. So some of it's instinct, some of it's just principle.
Yeah.
Cats don't like guns, but so Daddy's the only one that knows how to shoot. So he takes the gun and he's like, I want to parlay. And so like a bird comes down and she's like, I am Nev. And he's like, and then he shot her in the arm. And he was like, we want our power back, please. And she's like, no. And so he shot her in the arm. And then Lucas, Faith's cousin, gets picked up by a bird, but he's like 6'10" and 300 pounds of muscle, and so they can't carry him very far, and he gets dropped like from mid-tree height. And so he's fine. He's just got some gashes in his shoulders. And then they all go back inside. It accomplished pretty much nothing except to piss the Thunderbirds off. So then they're like, well, we need to get the women folk out of here. Faith, you have to protect them. And she's like, no. And they're like, but you need to. It's for their safety. Manx is clawless and Casey's a child and Des is a baby. And she's like, okay, well, that makes sense. I'll go. So they make plans.
Otherwise, Faith is just an asshole.
Yeah. And Matteo DiCarlo, Vic's younger brother and one of the Arthur's other sons, he's offered to also go with them because he's hoping to woo Manx, so I can marry her and continue his family line, because his sister's dead. And so they make plans with one of the other pride cats that isn't an enforcer to meet them on the road behind the woods thing. And so then Daddy goes back out, causes a distraction, and Mummy refuses to leave. So like Faith, Manx, Des, Casey, and Matteo, they all get through the woods. They get chased by some birds. They make it to the car. The guy in the car starts driving, and then the car gets a boulder dropped on it. And Casey, like the little dipshit she is, jumps out of the car and just starts running along the road. And Faith is like, I don't have the breath to waste to yell, Casey, go into the woods. But also, she probably won't listen to me because if she was thinking logically, she would have stayed in the car or she'd be in the woods already. So Casey gets taken by a bird. And Faith is like, no! And so she's still running, and then Faith gets taken by a bird. And at some point, she ends up passing out, and then she wakes up in a room with Casey. So they wake up and they're like, where the fuck are we? And Casey's like, I don't know, I just woke up too. And Faith's like, how long's it been? And Casey's like, I don't know, like I just said, I just woke up too. Faith looks out the window and they're hanging off the side of a cliff. They're in a building hanging off the side of a cliff. And Faith is like, "What the fuck?"
Yep.
So, they get a bird comes in. Oh, also Thunderbirds, they don't take like minutes to shift. They are constantly just in like a various combination of bird and humanoid features, and their shifts are instantaneous, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so Faith and Casey get taken to the center of the nest, but it's not really a nest, it's like a full-blown aviary apparently, and it's called a nest. Faith, it's fine. And she's like, "What are you going to do with us?" And they're like, "We're going to take you to Calvin Malone." And she's like, "No, you can't do that. He's using you. He lied to you." And they're like, "What do you mean?" Oh, also, sorry, we forgot about this bit. During all the other stuff while Faith was still at home, she has the idea, "I'm going to call Brett and get him to tattle on Daddy because he owes me for saving his life." So she calls Brett and he's like, "You're right, Daddy did do a thing. He gets offered sanctuary in exchange for his testimony."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, Daddy did a thing. One of our cats, we were on your western border, which Calvin Malone's territory is to the east of them. So like they deduced pretty quickly they're expecting Daddy to start a war, and then when they go off to Appalachia to do a war, those cats were going to come in and take all the girls." And one of the cats killed a thing, went to go tell everyone, "Hey, I got dinner." Came back, a Thunderbird was eating it, and he killed the bird. That's how the Thunderbird died. And then Calvin Malone rocks up and he's like, "It's fine. Hey, Thunderbirds that have come to collect your friend. It was them that did it." So, it's pretty strategically sound.
Yeah.
And they find out as well in that phone call that it was one of the enforcers, like one of Faith's fellow enforcers, brothers that did it. And then an hour later, Jace gets a phone call from his mother to say that Brett is dead.
Yeah.
And it's again, and Jace's second oldest half brother is who killed him, because he died in an accident in a training exercise with Alex. And so, like his brother killed him. But yeah, so Faith is trying to convince the flight that Malone lied to them and stuff, and they're like, "Well, you know what? All this has told us is that cats lie, and we don't like them. So you need to prove to us that it wasn't your peeps that did a kill, or we'll slaughter them all." So Faith organizes for a 48-hour ceasefire. And they're like, "Okay, we'll take you to the ground now, and we're keeping Casey, and if you don't come back in 48 hours with proof of who actually killed Finn, we're going to kill her." And Faith tries to argue with them, and they're like, "No, we're keeping her. You got two choices. You can leave her here and go get the proof, or she can die. And if you try and stop us, you can also die. Those are your three choices." And she's like, "Fine, I guess." So Faith calls Daddy, and he's like, "Hey, I'm at a thing. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I need help." And he's like, "Well, Jason and Mark are already on their way out that way." And she's like, "What the fuck?" So yeah, she walks along this dirt path for ages, finds a landmark call, and they pick her up. Brett also told them as well that he had a dead feather from the dead Thunderbird covered with Lance Pierce's blood. So they're like, "Well, we're going to go get the feather." So they're like, "Okay, let's go get the feather." So they drive to wherever the fuck Malone lives in the Appalachian territory to go get the feather. And does anything happen on the drive there, really?
No. Not that I remember.
Mark's asleep in the back, and Jace is like, you know, I could die here. Like, can you at least tell me when you're gonna tell Mark about us? And she's like, I don't know, Jace. And he's like, well, it'd just kind of be nice to know where we stand before I die. And she's like, now's not the time, Jace. We're busy. So they go.
Hey, just tell him that you're not going to suck his dick. Okay, leave us all.
But she doesn't, because she also loves him. She loves him.
But we know she doesn't.
No.
Like, so why are we here?
Because it's the obligatory love triangle is why.
Like, you know, one thing like about Mercy Thompson, like at least with that love triangle, one, in a way, it could have genuinely gone either way for a minute.
Well, yeah, because up until the beginning of the series, she thought Adam couldn't stand her. You know, like they were cautiously semi-hostile to each other.
It wasn't until she actually had to choose in book 3 that I knew who she was going to choose.
Yeah, well, she doesn't like what comes with alpha-ness, you know, and Adam is the quintessential alpha, and turns out, like, you know, the thing that she hated most about him is one of the things she loves most about him now, you know. But Sam, she had some hardcore history with, so, you know, yeah, it could have gone either way. And it was over pretty quick though.
Right. And also, like, it was so in the background that it wasn't as infuriating.
Also, it was one of those situations as well where you didn't, like in this one, right, after Mark finds out and everything, like Mark and Jace are just walking around saying, so are you going to say you love me more yet type thing? And it's like, I don't, like, what guys in reality would be so okay with, like, you know, a girl being like, I don't know if I love you enough to be exclusively with you. Whereas the one in Mercy was written in a way where it was like, you know what, like, I buy this as a, it doesn't make either Sam or Adam look like cocks.
No, it doesn't.
So,
well, because nothing has really happened between anybody yet.
Yeah,
when Mercy decides, like, nothing's actually happened.
Yeah, like, and a lot of it was, yeah, and the way that it was written as well was like, you know, Mercy was kind of just like, I kind of don't want to be with either of you, like, initially.
Yeah.
She was like, well, I got, like, yeah, I'd bang you, and a part of me, like, you know, has my nostalgic love for you type thing, but I kind of don't want to be with either of you, just so you know.
Yeah. And she was saying, like, do I want you or you? She was like, no, and then also no, but separately. Like, it wasn't a intertwined thing. It was just like two people asked you out on Tinder and you're thinking no to both. Like, that was, it wasn't like choosing between people. It was no and also no.
Just Twitch chat. It's not a fake stream. We just rarely check chat. Just so you know. Because we get caught up in conversation. I don't know what they mean by fake stream, but yeah, I don't know. It's not. But yeah, like, yeah, Mercy was a much more adult love triangle compared to this one.
Well, because it wasn't really like a triangle. It was just like two people.
Like, it added. Oh, the book is Shift by Rachel Vincent. But we're currently tangenting on to Mercy Thompson.
Well, it was like, it wasn't really a love triangle. It was more like she just was like, no.
Yeah, well, Sam was like, I want babies, and Adam was like, I kind of claimed you as my mate years ago, and I guess maybe we should do something about that.
Yeah.
And Mercy's just like, but I'm a mechanic.
To both. Yeah.
I'm a coyote mechanic. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
That seems to be like Mercy's response to almost any situation, though. I'm a coyote and I'm a mechanic. But back to shifters, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it was just like, I'm sorry, it's just an example of like a much more realistic situation where it's like you have, and like I said, also the thing that made it bearable and less cucky, I guess, is just that like nothing had happened between anybody.
Well, except for the historical thing with her. And
I mean, like present day.
Yeah.
I think she'd been kissed by both of them, but like nothing had happened. Like nothing for anybody to really get mad about had happened or was happening. Like she wasn't like ongoing like two relationships at the same time or anything like that.
But yeah, I mean, we'll have a lot more to say about this love triangle in the next book because it doesn't get resolved until literally the last chapter. So that's fun. But yeah, this whole book is
also
more
side tangent.
Yeah. Yes.
Love advice from Book Club with Bae to all the men in the chat. Whenever is not a time. Goodbye. Continue.
But so they're trying to work because Brett is also the brother that Jace is like the only brother that Jace was on good terms with. So they're like, you and Alex must have had a thing, like where would Alex have hidden the feather? You know, because at the moment they're just banking on the fact that Alex hadn't retrieved the feather from where he had hidden it before he died. And Jace is like, I guess there was like this old cattle station like thing. That was a place that we played, and we thought it was like a pirate ship, you know, as kids do. So they're like, okay, well, we'll go there then. So they go there, they find it, but Faith, like the place is timber and it's rotted to all hell. So Faith falls down and gashes her entire arm. But they find the feather. So yay. So they go back to the hotel room. Jace goes to go and get food, I guess, and brings back tequila. And he keeps on making suggestive, he made a suggestive comment to Faith, like Faith is like, I don't think I should drink the tequila, and he's like, why? You remember what happened last time you drank tequila? And she's like, well, fuck, because like her and Jace got wasted on tequila when they did fuck, but she'd forgotten that in the first book, her and Mark got wasted on tequila before they did fuck. So that's what Mark thinks is being referenced. And they're like, well, fuck. So it's all really awkward. But then, yeah, so Faith gets mildly drunk, doesn't say anything too incriminating, gets stitched up, and then she has to... Oh! She also calls Daddy, and she's like, I need my cast off. Oh, because I think they established at this point as well that the feather isn't going to be enough. That's right. The feather's not going to be enough to convince the Thunderbirds because they can't smell.
Right.
Very well. They can't distinguish one werecat scent from another. So they're like, well, the proof is pointless except for it'll help convince the council, but it won't help convince the birds. So they're like, oh, we're going to have to kidnap Lance Pierce then. And Faith is like, well, I need both my arms. And Mark has gone out to get more food or something. Like Faith's arm's stitched up by this point, I think. So she calls Daddy and she's like, I need both my arms. I'm going to take my cast off and start shifting. And they're like, okay, I guess you should do that then. So she gets, I don't know why she had to get naked.
I don't either.
I guess it helps serve the plot, but like the awkwardness of the love triangle plot. Because Mark's not there, and Faith is going to hop in the bath to help soak the cast, which I get why she wanted to hop in the bath instead of just hold it in water, because it's like it takes a while to soak those things, you know.
Yeah.
But she could have just gone in her bra and undies.
Yeah, like there was a way for it not to be super awkward.
Yeah, because Mark's
Like,
gone to buy her more clothes, I think.
Read the room, Faith.
Yeah. So then Mark comes back, he walks in, and like he walks it. He opens the hotel room door while like Faith and Jace are about to like they're inches away from kissing or whatever, and then like, well, fuck. So she grabs a towel and throws it over herself because she's naked for some reason. Mark walks in and he's like, what the fuck's going on in here? And she's like, I'm soaking my cast off. And he's like, then why are you two looking so fun? Like, don't fucking hurt her. And they get into a fight. And Mark's like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you. I would never hurt her. And Jace is like, well, you're a violent psychopath. Forgive me for thinking that you might.
Which he's not. He's not wrong about that.
No. Mark, you just broke the bathroom door down. Like, when you get mad at Faith, you throw people through walls. Like.
And really, here's the thing. If when you get mad at someone, you start breaking things and stuff, is it really a stretch to assume that eventually you're going to break them?
Nope.
I don't think it is.
I don't think so either. I honestly think it's a miracle that Mark hasn't beat the shit out of her yet. One, because of her attitude, and two,
because he's beaten the shit out of everybody else.
He literally threw Jace through a wall for leaving keys on the kitchen bench or counter.
But you expect me to believe he's not going to beat the shit out of her for doing fuck with someone else? Like, fuck off.
While he was kidnapped.
Like, not that she should have done it, okay? I don't think that. But, like, that's not a beat the shit out of you-able offense.
No.
Look, love advice from Book Club with Bae. Cheating is bad, don't do it. But also, if somebody cheats on you, don't beat the shit out of them.
No, because that's a crime. Cheating is morally repugnant. Beating the shit out of the cheater is a crime.
Like, I completely understand. You want to beat the shit out of them. Don't we all? Okay? I get it. I completely understand. Hands up. I get it. Okay? I get it. But also,
have some self-control.
You can't just beat the shit out of people. Okay? Even if you're like, but they kind of deserve, like, I get it. I fucking get it. It's bad. It's bad and they shouldn't have done it. But you can't just beat the shit out of people. All right? You got to go home with your friends and play Xbox or go for a walk or eat a tub of, like, whatever, depending on who you are. Eat a tub of ice cream with your girlfriends, like, whatever the case may be. All right? There are things, there's protocols for this. And it's not beating the shit out of people. That's bad.
Luckily, Mark found out in a way that he didn't have time to beat the shit out of people, so I guess that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just remembered as well just how much of a glimpse into Mark's super jealous possessiveness we get to see it this book as well. I forgot, my bad. With the thumb. So they're like, we need to kidnap Lance Pierce. Mark's like, I'm not on board with this. And she's like, well, you can call Daddy. Daddy's already said that this is the only way. So fuck you, effectively. So they're like, okay, how are we going to get to Lance? And Jason's like, well, my mom invited me. because at the moment they're trespassing.
Right.
You know, they can get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Jason's like, I was invited here by my mother, so I can go and get Lance alone, and then we can bop him over the head and get effectively. So he calls Mummy, and he's like, Mummy, do you still want me to come visit? And she's like, yes. And he goes, will stepfather be mad? And she's like, I don't care what stepfather wants. Your brother is dead, and I want my oldest son here. And he's like, excellent. I'm around the corner. I'll be there in 20 minutes. So he goes, and Faith and Mark are like, okay, well, Mark's a cat, and Faith is human. And they're like, okay, well, let's hide in the woods near the house, because, you know, from what I've gathered, most of the alphas live in houses that are near woods, because cats.
Yeah, because cats and roar and etc.
Yeah, and hunting and stuff. So, like, yeah, fair.
Yes,
and it's a
the only thing you should beat up is a pillow or a punching bag. You know, look, there are things that are made for beating up on.
Yeah,
there
if you
things...
want as well, like, you can get like one of those like little freaking like punching bag things that are shaped like a person, and like put a picture of the person you mad's at face on that thing's face. It's fine. You can beat them up like vicariously. It's fine.
I will say though, I think that if you print out a picture of someone's face and use it as like a target at a shooting range or something, I think that's a little far. I think that's when you've gone too far.
You can throw darts at it though.
Darts are fine, but I think if you're shooting it, too much.
Oh no, I'm saying like put them on, you know, like the punching dummies. You can put their face on the punching dummy.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, like shooting range, guns, too much. Roll it back.
Yep.
Roll it back. Like, make a sim of them and burn it to the ground. Like, do that. Like, no shooting ranges. Just, you know.
Yeah.
Temper the anger a little bit. Healthy outlets only.
So they're in the woods and
I'm just trying to get everybody not arrested, okay?
I know.
The other stuff won't get you put on a watch list. That will.
Like if it's something that you're like, I don't know if I should tell people about this or not, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah. We've all made sims of people we don't like, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Just to kill them, yes.
Yes. We've all done that. You can do that. That's fine. Throw darts at the thing, that's fine. Just don't shoot it. No shooting.
I think if to broaden it out as well, where would we put bows and arrows, shooting arrows at someone's face?
Gray area, be safe, don't
like
do it.
It's halfway between a gun and a dart.
Yeah, gray area. I would say don't, just to be safe.
Especially if it's a fucking compact, like the compact bows with all the pulleys and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty high powered.
Yeah, yeah. Be safe and don't. Stop yourself at darts. Projectiles are shady areas, okay?
If you want to shoot them with a gun, get a paint gun. A paint gun is fine.
Paint guns are fine, I'll say that. That's not pointy.
Yes.
Definitely no explosives. Book coping mechanisms with book club with Bay.
Yes. So Faith and Mark are in the woods, I guess, waiting for Jace's signal.
Yeah.
Which I think will be a text saying, "Hey, I have him in X location. Come get." And they overhear some talking going on and the sounds of a hole being dug, and they're like, "Well, fuck." So they do a sneak over and eavesdrop, and they're talking about how like it's Jace's. I was gonna say James's grave. Jace's grave. And Faith is like, oh fuck, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? Type thing. But turns out he's not dead yet. He's okay. He's still alive. They're just effectively digging it. Because Malone's like, this is dodgy. I don't want this person alive anyway. I've already killed my own son yesterday, so I'm fine killing my stepson. And they're like, well, fuck. And then they catch, like, I don't know if they attack them or if they get caught. I think Faith gets caught.
Yeah.
And Mark's still hiding. And so they tie Faith up or whatever, and obligatory rapey moment.
Every time.
One of them starts freaking like groping Faith and like rubbing a nipple and stuff with his thumb. And then Mark comes out and like, you know, knocks one unconscious and then like gets the other one off her Faith and stuff. And Faith is like, okay, let's go then. You know, they're all tied up. Time to go. And Mark's like, and he's pointing his nose at the guy and then at Faith's boob, and Faith is like, wait, what? And he's like doing it again, and Faith is like, no, it's like I've already dealt with him, it's fine. Because that's right, Faith did a knee to groin or something. Like she sorted it out already, and Mark's like, no, but like as a cat. And Faith's like, fine. Right thumb to left nipple or whatever the hell it was, and so Mark goes up and bites the guy's thumb off.
Writing advice from book club with Bay.
If you want to write a likable love interest, don't have him bite people's thumbs off.
That, and there are ways to make your bad guys bad without making them rapey. I mean, rapey is like a way to do it, but like have them do interesting bad guy things. Like anything else.
But I mean, like, how many times has Faith almost been raped? Like, she gets almost raped at least once a book, or not necessarily almost raped, but like first book, yeah, almost raped. But then like every other book, it's been like, you know, groped or been like had rape jokes being said about her. And rape threats, like it's a thing.
Like something else, anything else, please.
I have a spoiler for the next book. Do you want to hear it?
Yes. Does she get actual raped?
No, almost. Colin Dean is ripping her clothes off, about to.
For fuck's sake. You know, the other thing that's annoying about like this is one thing, and this is like something that we experienced reading Mercy Thompson, obviously. See, the thing about other types of like bad guys and trauma in books is that it's actually kind of interesting and leads to like interesting character development. Okay. Like say, for example, if you, I don't know, murdered your family and then ate people alive, right? That might be interesting to read about as if you're the main character and like that happened to you, because that's like interesting trauma. Because you're like, oh, what would happen to you if that happened? But the problem with like sexual assault and stuff in books, other than the obvious, is that it's kind of a snooze fest. Because we all know it's bad and we know what happens. We have to sit here and you have to be sad, and then you have to not like being touched, and then you have to be like, was it my fault or was it not my fault? It's not my fault. Okay, now that we've gone through that, now we have to just sit here for you to be like upset for 10 books about it. And like, I get it, you're upset, but like, I don't want to read about you being upset about it.
I mean, at least in this series, the obligatory urban fantasy rape scene happened to someone else.
Yeah.
It was her cousin. Which I'm kind of like, because I've listened to the novella from Abby's perspective, which is like a prequel to the Wildcats, like her Wildcats book. Because the Wildcats come like a each book is about a different other Tabby. And the first one is about like from Abby's perspective. I don't know, from memory, the novella was too short to really be like oh my God, I'm still so traumatized type thing. I don't know how the book's gonna go. But one of the Wildcats books is also from Casey's perspective. So I imagine we're also gonna get some of the I killed my mother and sister and ate a person trauma.
But that's actually interesting.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. And then the third one, I've only read the blurb for these. I haven't actually read these books, but the third one is from the perspective of the only female stray. So the third one is, oh, I think this is actually the second book, but the third, you know what I mean, like the other person is a stray female. She's the only stray female in the country. So, and
How is
we don't
statistically that possible?
I'm guessing because even having a recessive werecat gene in you probably makes you more prone to boys. So, and men are probably more likely to get scratched or bitten by a cat because, like, you know, let's be honest, even by like the majority of men that just like get into a fight at the drop of their hat, they still mainly only attack other men. They don't often attack females.
That's true.
So, like,
but the only one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's fine.
But
I
yeah.
didn't write it. It's not my job.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll get to that conversation when we get to that book, I guess.
Yeah. Give me 1 second to grab water.
Okay.
I will be right back.
Okay. Yeah, so back to the plot. So yeah, Mark bites off the guy's thumb and they're like, okay, so I guess I gotta bandage this guy's thumb now. So she bandages him. And they go back to try and watch Jace, and Faith texts Jace to be like, hey, just so you know, they think you're a spy, that Malone sus as fuck on you, is gonna kill you. And Jace is like, reads the text and doesn't visibly react because, you know, you don't visibly react to a text like that. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll keep that in mind. And so then Faith is like, there are a lot of fucking cars here. We're going to struggle to get away with Lance. So she pulls out a knife and starts like stabbing all the tires. And then from memory, she gets caught at that point by Colin Dean, I think. Oh no, Jace manages to lure Lance out, or she finds Lance and like tranks him or knocks him out unconscious or something, and then she gets caught by Colin Dean. And Jace rocks up at some point. I can't remember if he's there when she gets Lance or if he finds her after the fact. I don't know. Okay. And then so he's like, well, I'm gonna pay you back for embarrassing me. And she's like, how the fuck are you here? And he's like, because he was one of Blackwell's enforcers until, you know, he lied about her trying to escape and everything. Because when Brett got mauled and Faith rescued him, Colin tried to stop her from rescuing him so he could shift. And Faith is like, we don't have time for that, and punched him and knocked him out. And then lied about it to save face. So then, yeah, he got kicked out, but Calvin Malone has hired him now. And then Alex, Jace's second oldest half brother, who is now his oldest half brother, now that Brett's dead, he rocks up as well. And they're like, we're gonna do a torture. Like, Faith, you're gonna do a thing and give us information about your dad. And Faith's like, no. And I can't remember exactly how it got to this point. I think they're trying to like break free and stuff, and like Jace has Alex in a vulnerable position, and Colin has Faith in a vulnerable position. I just kept on going with the plot. We're at the bit where he's
sorry.
That's okay. And Jason's like, let her go or I'll kill him. And Colin's like, let him go or I'll kill her. And Alex is like, you absolutely will not kill her. That's my future wife you talk about. And it's like, dude, you're 18. Like, fuck off. You killed your brother yesterday. Like, no. And then Alex is like, cut her, Dean. Cut her face. We don't need her for her face. Like, being like, I only need her badge. And Faith is like, what the fuck? And Jason's like, what the fuck? And then Colin starts like he cut the line down like from like Faith's ear to her mouth, pretty much. And Faith is too scared to move. Friggin' like Jace is yelling at him, but like not yelling too loudly because they don't want to alert everyone that they're there. And it's like this whole big what the fuck moment. And then Colin's like, I'm going to carve my initials into your chest. And Faith is like, no, you fucking won't. And then she manages to somehow get a knife and stabs him in the stomach. And by this point, Alex and Colin Dean have worked out that Jace and Faith have done fuck. I'm guessing because of their body language or something. I don't know.
I don't really get how, other than like guessing.
Yeah, I think they threw that out there, and then based on their reactions, they were like, "Oh fuck, yeah, you actually did." Okay.
Yeah, that's my best guess because.
Yeah. And then Mark bursts in. I think he's in human form. That's why he hadn't rocked up yet. He was shifting. Mark's in human form, and they're like, what the fuck? Like Faith's shirt's like ripped open and broken and shit, and she's got a cut down her face and shit like that. And he's like, how the fuck did you let this happen? And Jason's like, I fucking tried, dude. There wasn't much I could do. And then Mark's about to fucking kill him, and Faith is like, no, it's fine. We just got to go type thing. Like, he's not a threat anymore. So Jace grabs Lance and throws him over his shoulder.
And also, so much like Mark to blame people for things that aren't their fault. Like, the other thing is, like, Mark blames... Like, Mark, you got captured.
Well, also, like, Mark, where the fuck were you when he was cutting up Faye's face, huh? Where the fuck were you?
Where the fuck were you? You've been captured before. So,
yep.
You know that it can happen to anybody.
Yep, and Mark knows that Jace has always had a thing for Faith. Mark knows this, right?
Yes.
Does he really think that Jace would just be sitting there watching Faith get her face carved up going, yeah, this is fine. This is absolutely fine. I see no issue with this situation.
No.
No, of course not, because Jace isn't a dick. Like, if Jace could have stopped it from occurring, he would have, but he wasn't in a position to. Because, unless he, like, literally killed his brother and then tried to stop it, And why would he have killed his brother? Like, there was no reason to kill Alex at that point in time.
Yeah.
Because, he's not a fucking psychopath. He kills people when they deserve it. Alex, at that point, did not deserve... I mean, like, yeah, Alex deserved to die, but at that point, it would have been murder,
Yeah. Also, let's be honest. Cutting someone on the face, rude, but, like, not worthy of death. Especially if it's Faith.
Yeah. Well, and that's why Faith doesn't kill Colin Dean yet, because, like, he was no longer a physical threat to her, and, fucking, so while Jace is, like, so as they're leaving, right, because Alex and Dean are, all tied up now, Colin Dean is just like, so Mark, what do you think about her fucking Jace? Huh? And Mark's like, like went to be like, dude, like just shut, like no. And then Faith's like, ugh. And Mark's like, wait a second, wait, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, Mark, and he's like, we don't have time for this. And like, I think he like punches, I think he kicks Colin Dean in the face and breaks his nose type thing and storms out. Because, you know, I guess bearer of bad news. Like he decided to metaphorically shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
Broke his nose and stormed down. Face like, well, fuck. Now I need to, like, and then Jay, Jay overheard that, so he knows that Mark knows, and he's like, well, I've got to prove my fucking self now. So he walks in, picks up the knife, and literally joke mouths Colin Dean. Like, he cuts him from the inside of his mouth all the way. Like, Faith has like a line, just a nice little line. Colin Dean has like a knife put into his mouth and ripped upwards. To match, I guess.
Well, not really to match. Like, let's be fair.
Yeah. I will say, though, and maybe this is just my Jace bias coming out, I think that is a far less over-the-top form of revenge than biting on someone's thumb for robbing it a long face. I think that's far more deserved. Like what happened to Colin, far better deserved than the thumb biting.
Well, especially when you consider that, like, kind of it's not just for that.
Well, no, it's for the emotional damage and harm and shit too.
Well, it's also probably for a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, like, I mean, Colin's also just a dick.
Yeah, it's like for everything. It's for the everything.
Yeah, it's for his existence as much as anything else.
Yeah, it's like you're a person. Fuck you.
Yeah, and again, it could just be Jay's bias, but yeah, when that happened, like when he did that, I was just like, yeah, cool. Whereas when Mark like bit the guy's thumb off, I'm like, that's a bit over the top, don't you think?
Yeah.
So yeah, they yeet. By this point, everyone fucking knows that they're there, so they're just like bolting. Like they're in the car speeding off. They like everyone goes to jump into the cars, but like obviously like they've all been like tire slashed. So then they just drive, and they've got literally they can't stop. They can't stop until like they get back to the nest because they're on a time crunch by this point.
Right.
They've got a hell of a long drive ahead of them. And yeah, so they're going. And the car ride's awkward to say the least.
Yep.
Like Mark's just like, we're gonna talk about this fucking later because I can't. I'm too mad to like. From this point on, a lot of what Mark does doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah. Well, because he's cranky.
And with good reason. And he's just like, how long has this been fucking going on? How the fuck did they, like, because at first he's like, yeah, we'll talk about this later. But then obviously when you're angry, like, you know, thoughts just come blurting out of your mouth. And he's like, how the fuck did this happen? And she's like, Ethan died. And he's like, okay. Like, if it was, and Faith was like, it was just the once, nothing's happened since then type thing. And he's like, okay, well, Jace, you can leave. You know, we'll pull the car over, you can get out. And by the time we get back to the Pride, you can be fucking gone. And Faith is like, you can't do that, Mark. And then he's like, wait, are you telling me that it wasn't just a fucking grief-stricken moment? She's like, no, that just brought up all of my real feelings. And he's like, well, I'll fucking leave then. And she's like, no, you can't because I love you. And he's like, well, what about him? And she's like, I love him too. And Mark's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Faith? And Faith is just like, I love you both. Why can't I just love you both?
You absolute psycho. I have a question.
Yep.
Do real people end up in this situation?
I don't think so. Especially not with Okay. If the men had different personality types, yeah, probably. But not with these kinds of personalities. They're both dominant personalities. What dominant personality is okay with being emasculated?
None. They're not.
Because, like, even Jace is being emasculated by the situation as well. Like, I mean, yeah, like, I know that he was the person that she cheated with and everything. But then she's also like, I don't know if I love you or if I love him. Or, well, I love you both and I don't know who I love more. That's especially, and again, old Jace might have been okay with it. But, like, as we know, like, since Ethan's death, like, because it keeps getting brought up in this book as well, I don't think we've mentioned it. Jace is displaying a lot more alpha tendencies, more and more and more. So, like, Jace is finally growing the fuck up. Like, Ethan, love him, but Ethan was kind of like an anchor for Jace. Because Ethan was just such a goofball, so Jace was fine being just a goofball with his best friend. But now that his best friend's dead, he's like, okay, well, I guess I should just be myself now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they both got pretty dominant personalities. Like, no alpha male is fine with his missus being like, there's someone else on my mind. I think Jay, like, and it happens next book. This is a conversation that happens next book. But, like, Jace is effectively like, look, I get that you love Mark, and that's fine. But I just want you to love me more, type thing. Whereas Mark is like, I understand that you love Jace, but all that tells me is that you don't love me enough to just love me. He's like, from like the second we got together, you have been literally the only person in my life, and you don't love me enough for me to be that person to you. And I'm like, well, that is fair, Mark.
Yeah.
that is a fair point of view to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they, I guess, then Lance wakes up because he's been knocked out and then tranked. He's been, like, the trank's worn off, he's woken up and he's like, the fuck's going on? And Faith is like, yeah, so we know you killed a Thunderbird. But, like, she does it in a way that's like, because, that's the other thing as well. Like, they're like, maybe there's a way we can do this without getting Lance killed. This was, like, before they even got taken. Jace does get another book. Jace becomes a primary love interest in a book.
Which is always weird as well. Like, after you've read somebody, it was something that was hard to get used to, like, with Adrian and Sydney.
Yeah. But let's be honest, Adrian and Sydney is probably one of my favorite book pairings.
Yeah, for sure. But it was hard to get used to.
Yeah, it took a minute. Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah. Solar the Dragon, I'm not scolding you. I am just, like, making your sentence infinitely better.
Oh yeah, are you correcting the spelling?
Yes. Okay, I'm done. I don't like that face.
What?
I did a texting. I prefer it as the text than the emoji that it replaced my text with. The laughy face. I don't like it. Yeah, and again, like, okay, let's just reiterate again. We've discussed this before, but Faith's name is spelled Faythe. When you're listening to it, it's not as annoying because, you know, you're not having to read it. Yes, that is special. What makes it worse, though, is it's her middle name. Like, they didn't get creative spelling on Faith. They got creative spelling on Faith as middle name.
And Casey. How do you spell Casey again?
Kaci.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you would expect Casey to be Kasey. That's Kaci.
Why?
Because it's a thing.
No, that's not how you. No, I guess that's another way you could spell it, but that's a unique way to spell Casey too. Check.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't mind it being spelled like with the EY with the C either. Like either or, as long as it ends with an EY, I guess. And there's no other Y's thrown in there. Like, that's the thing, people. When you're naming your kid, don't go for special spellings. Don't be a dick. Parenting advice from Book Club with Bay. Don't be a dick. Is that how you imagine her first name being spelled?
Catherine. Is that her first name?
It's Catherine, but it's not spelled like that.
So it should be spelled.
I'm pretty sure it's like the normal spelling with a K, because Catherine is also can often be spelled with a K or a C. I'm pretty sure it's Catherine, normal spelling Catherine with a K.
Catherine.
Like, it's one thing as well, again, to give your kids names that are less common or whatever. No. No, like, you know, like both of my kids, their names aren't the most common of names type thing. Like, they probably won't ever have the same name as another person in their class. And that's fine. But they're not weird names.
Yeah.
Like, okay, here's an example of a name that isn't common, at least in the English-speaking world, but it's not a weird name. Genevieve. You don't meet a lot of non-French Genevieves. However, you hear someone has that name and you don't go, that's fucking weird.
Well, we've all heard the name probably at least once.
Yeah.
But also, if you're going to use it, spell it right.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
You know?
Like there are some pretty freaking weird spellings of names, and it's just like, but why? Why would you? I mean, you know what? Probably one of my favorite like awful names is.
Yeah.
In chat. Do you want to bring that up, and then I'll say how to pronounce it?
Oh, Ladasha.
Ladasha. Parenting advice from Book Club with Bay. That is never an appropriate name, even if it was spelled. But you're not cute when you call your kid Absidy or Elemento, which is literally just A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, D. I don't know if there's an E on the end of that. But literally the letters LMNO. No.
Elemento.
No, yeah, Elemento. Like, it's literally the letters of the alphabet in order. Like, oh, look at that spelling of Austin.
Oh, I knew a kid. It was a girl. People use that for girl, like girl Austin.
Or you could just not.
Yeah, or you could just not.
Like, sorry if there are any Austins with Ys watching. But I think also you know the pain of what we're saying. I think you get it.
Also, like, I get names that are like genuinely ambiguous.
Yeah.
But I don't understand blatantly giving your kid a name that, like, naming a girl Logan.
Yeah. I knew someone who had a daughter named Dylan.
Why?
I don't know.
Stefan versus Stefan.
I mean, yeah, like there are some names where there's multiple spellings and it's not freaking weird. Like, for example, the name Ash has 3 spellings. There's E-I-G-H and E-Y. Fine, you know, because they're all pretty relatively common. There's like, you know, with Stefan and Stefan or Stephen and Stephen, you know.
Yeah.
That, like, there are like some names that have multiple spellings, and that's fine. But then there is also just ones where like it's like a parent had a stroke.
Yeah, like Coatharin.
Or a girl that I went to school with, she called her kid Alexander. Are you ready to hear how she spelled it? She called her kid Alexander. Normal enough name, right? Until you read the spelling. A-L-E-K-S. Instead
What?
of X. Instead of the X, you put a K-S.
Why?
I don't know. Like Alec is a name, Alex is a name. You don't combine the two. I don't think you can.
Just Sander? Just Sander. Like beach sand.
I need to actually just put it in chat so you can actually witness it.
Yeah, Alexander.
Yep.
Sandy.
And as I've said to you as well, my nan spells my son's name really weird. And I'm just putting it in the private chat. I've also had someone else spell it like this. And I'm like, wow.
Oh no.
Like it's literally the name of a place.
He's gonna get that at Starbucks all the time.
I know, like
the second one, all the time.
Actually, we've also had. He'll probably get this at Starbucks.
Yeah, but the last 2 at Starbucks all the time. Honestly, now that I think about it, before I decide what to name my kids, I should just go to Starbucks, and depending on like what I think I'm having, I'm just gonna be like, you know, me or my husband is gonna be like, this is my name at Starbucks, and see how frustrating it is. Because my name is frustrating at Starbucks, right? You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that said though, Starbucks isn't that big here.
Okay.
Because we have real
here,
coffee.
It's a thing. My name's frustrating at Starbucks. Because it's not that my name's like uncommon, but like when it's loud and there are people around and you're like, you know, and you're like, Teresa, and they're like, what? And you're like, oh, fuck, never mind. Bob.
I shall be Bob for the duration of this conversation.
Well, it's because like Teresa is not Teresa. So then it's confusion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Stacey and I did not anticipate issues with the spelling of our son's name because, again, it is a very common word in people's vocabulary already. And there's literally one spelling of it.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, we fucked up. We should have spelt it weird, and maybe people would spell it correctly.
Honestly, what I have found is that people are jerks, and they don't. And the thing is, like, people are either going to give a shit about how you want your name said, pronounced, or spelled, or they just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Which I know that you know.
Yeah.
Because no matter how many times I'm like, oh yeah, no, my name's Teresa, people are like, right, Teresa, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, like I had a person who couldn't grasp that Mara isn't pronounced Mara. I'm like, that doesn't even sound like a name.
Yeah.
It's like Ka, an M, and then a Ra at the end. Done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, there's a lot of, I mean, you can spell Teresa close to how I spell my name, or even sometimes people spell it the way I spell my name. But what I guess is frustrating is like when I say my name to you and you say it back to me, not what I said to you. And it's like, that's not what I said. That's not at all what I just said.
Yeah. Like, and I understand as well, like, especially when we get to the freaking Celtic names, yeah, there is room for, you know, confusion if you've just seen it written down. Like Aisling is spelled Aisling.
Yeah.
Siobhan is spelled Siobhan. But if someone walks up to you and says, hi, I'm Siobhan, and you just start calling them Siobhan, it's a bit rude.
And like, look, if it's, you know, a name that's in another language or something like that, it's polite to at least attempt, okay? Do your best.
Well, again, like, and especially because like there are some names in other languages that are just really difficult to try and pronounce. Like with Celtic names, at least, like especially once you hear it, it's pretty easy to say. Like they're not difficult to pronounce; they're just difficult to put the words to the letters to the pronunciation.
Right.
But if it's an easy to pronounce name, like, and there's no like rolling R's or anything in it, then it's just rude.
Yeah, well, it's also, even if like it is difficult to pronounce, it's just polite to do your best.
Yep, and you'll also find as well that most people that have a difficult to pronounce like foreign name or something, they're not dicks, and they have a preferred alternate pronunciation.
Yeah, and most people, the only time that they're gonna get, sorry, or a nickname, nickname. And the only time that they're gonna get like annoyed with you is if you're just being blatantly disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are blatantly disrespectful. Just be nice, okay? Being nice is nice. Because if somebody has like a name that's commonly mispronounced, it's probably being mispronounced by like most people. And it's just nice to pronounce somebody's name correctly. It makes them, you have no idea how it like makes people's day.
Yeah, and also just a little bit of friendly advice as well. If you have a name that can commonly be turned into like a joke nickname type thing, like, and this goes for this name or my actual birth name or whatever, they both have it. Like this one, for example, they're like, oh, any relation to Mary Jane? Or do you smoke a lot of weed? Guess what? It is not an original joke. You might think you're funny, but guess what? You are just like literally 80% of the population. You're not special.
Yeah.
It's actually like, you know, it's funny like the first like 2 or 3 times, and occasionally like it's the joke's done in a way that's like actually like new, and it's like lol. But there comes a point where it's also just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. If you think of a clever like word association of someone's name and you think you're being funny, trust me, you are anything but original. and you are
Yeah.
not funny. Okay, let's get back to the book.
Sorry for all the name frustration. It's been something that's frustrating.
And also, if you don't want people discussing your book to go off on like a freaking like half-hour tangent on stupid name spellings and shit, don't spell your characters' names weird.
Yeah.
Because that's what triggered this. The spelling of Faith and Casey.
Yep.
Yeah, so they established that yes, Lance definitely did kill the Thunderbird. Oh, that's right. That's what we got into before I saw the chat. Faith said maybe we could do like a video chat confession or something. That doesn't even get discussed anymore at this point. They're like, no, you were happy for people on our side to do a dead, I guess. You get to die now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they established that yes, he definitely killed the Thunderbird, and then they knock him out again. And then they get to the nest, and he's awake again because it's been hours again. And they're like, okay, let's go. So they get there. They've got like literally 15 minutes to spare before the 48-hour deadline. So like they get flown. Faith and Lance get flown up. The Mark and Jace are on the ground. They stay down there. So she gets flown up. She's like, where's Casey? Casey's like, I'm here, Faith. I was just reading books, watching Looney Tunes. And she's like, okay, cool. And they're like, where's your proof? And she's like, ta-da! And Lance is like, because Faith gave him a bit of a pep talk. She's like, look, you're probably going to die. Yeah, it's probably going to be a gruesome death, by the way. But just admit what you did and throw yourself on their mercy and hope for the best, I guess. And he's like, but I don't want to. And she's like, well, Casey's going to die. Do you really want a teenage, not even a teenage, a tween-age tabby to die because you did a whoops? And he's like, I guess not. And she's like, okay, well, let's go. So they go up there and he's like, yeah, I fucked up. I did a thing. It was bad. I'm naughty. Please don't eat me while I'm still alive, because that's what they were planning on doing. And they're like, no, we're going to eat you. Faith and Casey, you can go now. And Faith's like, well, can you just try and maybe have a little bit of mercy? Like he did a whoops. And like, nope. And he's like, oh, look, a random toddler. And so he grabs the toddler and holds a hostage, like a Thunderbird toddler, and holds a hostage. And they're like, ah! And they're like, no! And he's like, well, my soz then. And he's like, let me go. And they're like, no. And Faith is like, look, guys, like, just tell him you'll let him go if he gives you the baby back. Like, it's not dishonoring your word, because, like, you've already established that if someone makes a deal with you on dishonorable terms, you don't have to hold yourself to the deal. And they're like, no, but lying to him is dishonorable. Faith's like, God damn it. Okay. So then Lance is like, well, fuck this noise then, and jumps off the balcony with the baby. And so the baby's mom's like, ah! And she like flies down and like tries to slow his fall, and a couple others jump down to try and slow his fall so the baby doesn't die.
Yeah.
They managed to stop him from splatting with the baby, and then he just yeets. He just runs. And so they all they all fly down, and they're running through the woods butt naked because they're shifters, And Thunderbirds, I imagine, spend most time in the nude because their shifting is so fluid. And Faith is like, you got to get me down. I'll get him. And they're like, no. And she's like, please just let me down and I will find him. But you birds need to stop. Like, you guys need to fuck off and let me do the hunt. And they're like, okay. So they take her down, and she, like, the Thunderbirds fuck off, and she goes through the woods, and eventually she finds him. He's still holding on to this baby. Faith is like, God, he's a dipshit. If he just put the kid down, he could have yeeted. The kid's slowing him down. So she finds him. Mark has shifted at this point, and so he's coming along, and she's like, Lance, stop. And he's like, no, I won't do a thing. And she's like, just give me the baby, and then I'll let you go. And he's like, okay, fine. So he gives her the baby, and then Mark jumps on him, and he's like, you said you'd let me go. And she's like, you kidnapped a baby and held it hostage and tried to kill it in your suicide. You're not, no.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Mark, kill him. And Mark's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, kill him. And then she's like, I'm truly an alpha now because ordering executions is an alpha move. And if Mark does it, he's pledging his allegiance to me as alpha. So then Mark like kills him. And they take the body back and they're like, but he's already dead. We wanted to feast on his flesh while he lived. And she's like, well, I'm sorry, but there was no way around it, you know? Because at this stage, Faith is like, look, Lance is going to die, but should I let him be tortured and pecked to death, or should we just give him a quick death and then let them do what they want with the body type thing? So they do that, and they all, and they're like, we owe you for saving the baby's life, and we would like to be out of your debt ASAP. So as soon as you do, like as soon as is feasibly possible, please allow us to relieve us of our debt. And she's like, and then they go back to the ranch, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. Like the attack stops, the birds fuck off, they freed the prisoner of war in the basement. And yeah, that's about it really.
Yep,
they got the feather. So like, this is our ace in the hole for ousting Malone, and that's it. So yeah.
That's the it.
Yeah. So next week we'll be doing the last book in the series, and on Wednesday night we will be doing the first book of the Dizesters series called The Dizesters, and it is the only book out at the moment, and it is by our good friends PC and Kristen Cast.
And that's my birthday, and so we're kind of doing like
happy birthday! You get to freaking review an awful book.
But we're kind of doing like because Addie's birthday was on the 10th, so we're kind of doing like a joint birthday thing, because we're gonna have the boys here too, hopefully both of them, to do off-screen commentary.
Yeah, and depending on his work schedule, Stixie may or may not. He was on night shift last night, so he might be here. I don't know.
We're gonna try.
So it's normal. So it's normally Stixie's normally at work when we book club, because it's the middle of a weekday, and he's not a bludger. He goes to work on weekdays because he's a grown man with children to feed, you know. Right. But he was on night shift last night.
So
we'll see.
Well, we didn't book club on Addie's actual birthday, but
we book clubbed on her Australian birthday.
We did, but yeah. So on Wednesday night we will be on. We will have some boozahol, and we'll talk about Dizesters. I'm two chapters in, and my notes are long as fuck. So.
I haven't even started yet. I'm probably going to listen to it tomorrow, because I'm just like, I don't think I have the mental energy
honestly
to digest it today.
I'm going to have to do this in such small increments of just like, like it's
like
so...
I woke up, guys, to 60 new messages. That's how many I woke up to, and again, like Ben just said, she's 2 chapters in and I woke up to 60 messages. I didn't count. It came up on my screen. You have 60 new messages. I was like, I guess they started reading Dizesters. Open them, and yes, they did.
Well, the thing about it is, like, we knew that we wouldn't be able to do it in one sitting.
Yeah. See, with me, I'm like, I have to just torture myself all in one hit, or I can't go back to it. Like, I can't. If I pause it, I can't go back. So I just have to go.
Yeah, like,
I don't stroke out.
I'm just gonna wake up early tomorrow and just go and finish it. And
yeah. Oh, did you see what I said about the illustration? Because also, Addie is screenshotting these to display during stream, but there are illustrations in the book. There are illustrations in the young adult novel, because that's normal.
I didn't see what you said about the book, about the illustrations. Where is it? Okay.
Just before the Strange Loves link.
Yeah, he does. But aren't they a thing? Aren't they such a thing?
Is it ruining the surprise if we give a teaser for the one she sent?
Yes.
Okay, we'll wait.
We'll show it. We'll show it then. It's like, what the I'm sorry, just what the fuck? Okay, anyway.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember the last young adult, like, you know, like last non, like, okay, so you know how like there's often like, you know, book series targeted towards, you know, I guess 10-year-olds, like there's the Babysitter's Club, that's not for 10-year-olds, but then there's this sequel series or spin-off series, Babysitter's Little Sister, and about her little sister, and it's for like younger people, like I think like 9 or 10 or something. Those have pictures throughout them. Like books targeted towards 10-year-olds have like the occasional chapter picture. Harry Potter, like each chapter has its own picture, but it's not like an illustrated book or whatever. I don't think I've read a young adult book ever that has illustrations throughout.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have known better because, like, apparently at least the House of Night novellas had some illustrations in them.
Yeah.
We should have expected this.
Well, none of the full-length novels ever had illustrations in them.
It looks like some really badly drawn, like, graphic novel style.
Yeah. I mean, but anyway, we'll get
to that.
We'll get to it. But so with that, we will see you guys on Wednesday, and then next week we will finish up this series and we'll start the Vampire Diaries. So with that, we'll see you guys later. And thank you for